The Heritage Thermal Services Incinerator has been operating in East Liverpool since 1992. The incinerator has been the site of many accidents, including a 2011 explosion that killed a worker and hospitalized another, with Heritage only having to pay $63,000 in fines. Additionally, the EPA has found numerous violations, including one in July 2013, where 800 pounds of ash containing chemicals like arsenic and manganese were released into the air. According to the EPA, Heritage has not followed the Clean Air Act for 8 out of the past 12 quarters. Additionally, with the nearest home being less than 400 feet away from the smokestacks, there are serious health concerns for the community. Since being contracted by the Department of Defense, Heritage Thermal Services Incinerator has started burning firefighting foam, which contains per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, which are known as forever chemicals, because they do not break down and are known to contaminate nearby water sources, fish, and wildlife. This is concerning due to the location of the plant directly on the Ohio River. Exposure to PFAS can be linked to many things, including higher rates of various cancers, cholesterol, fertility issues, and weakened responses to vaccinations for children. Additionally, according to the EPA, PFAS can result in abnormal fetal development and damage to the liver, along with disrupting the thyroid. Knowing this, the DoD decided that the firefighting foam was too risky to use and thus ordered all stockpiles to be destroyed. In 2019, Heritage Thermal Services got a contract to incinerate 888,000 gallons of PFAS firefighting foam, including the one in East Liverpool. The bonds in this firefighting foam are nearly impossible to destroy, and the EPA has done little research on how to burn these chemicals safely. If temperatures aren't high enough, the chemicals are released into the air. During this process, other hazardous byproducts may be created that are toxic to humans. Before handing the contract out to Heritage Thermal Services, the DoD did not inspect the facilities and whether they were capable of adequately dealing with the waste, as is required by the National Defense Authorization Act of 2019. Recently, the plant has also been used to incinerate toxic soil from the East Palestine train derailment. However, it is unknown what the health effects may be. Additionally, 53% of people within a 1-mile radius of the incinerator live below the poverty line, whereas East Liverpool, according to the Census Bureau, has a poverty rate of 30%. The neighborhood closest to the incinerator has a median household income of $35,000.
One of the reasons that the incinerator has been able to run for so long is how difficult it is to prove that the incinerator causes an increase in cancer and respiratory illnesses. For example, in a study about the health effects of incinerators, they state, members of the population close to the incinerator are almost 9 times more likely to report recurrent wheezing or cough, and they're almost twice as likely as those living further from the site to report respiratory symptoms. However, the investigators noted that neither the prevalence of physician-diagnosed diseases nor hospital admissions for these diseases differed between the target and comparison populations. However, an important aspect is that, like the Heritage Thermal Plant, many incinerators are located in low-income and marginalized neighborhoods where access to healthcare is significantly limited. The effects of the incinerator disproportionately affect African Americans and is an example of racial injustice, as East Liverpool as a whole is only 3.4% black, whereas the neighborhood around the incinerator is 9.3% black. Columbiana County and East Liverpool have elevated rates of cancer compared to the Ohio and the national average. The incidence rate of cancer in Columbiana County is 465.1 per 100,000 people, compared to 450 in the U.S. However, the mortality rate in Columbiana County is even higher than the national average, with 175.8 per 100,000 people, compared to 155.5 in the United States as a whole. This suggests that the access to healthcare is limited in Columbiana County. When we went to East Liverpool to see the incinerator, 2 locals talked to us about the community. Many of the houses, which are incredibly close to the incinerator, are condemned or in bad shape. One of the locals explained that this house was condemned 3 years ago as the owners both died and their kids did not want the house, which shows just how much the incinerator devalues the real estate around it. The house had multiple public notices on it stating that it was a public nuisance and that it was unfit for human habitation due to unsanitary conditions, dangerous dwelling, no running water, and structural deficiencies.
We talked to 2 locals in the neighborhood nearest to the incinerator. One grew up in East Liverpool and returned 7 years ago. He is a heavy machine operator. He knew the family that once lived in the home right by the incinerator. The former residents were Amanda and Christopher McHenry, both of which have passed. Amanda, 41, died of natural causes, while Christopher, 42, died a few months later of cancer. The man then talked about the significant number of condemned houses in the neighborhood and how difficult it is to live there.
One of the most important activists in the area is Alonzo Spencer, who has lived in East Liverpool his entire life and has been trying to shut down the Heritage Thermal Plant since its opening in 1992. He formed the grassroots organization Save Our County and has been involved in multiple lawsuits against the company, like the 2018 case of United States of America v. Heritage Thermal Services, in which the EPA sued Heritage due to violations of the Clean Air Act. Mr. Spencer has also worked with Fair Shake Environmental Legal Services, a local law firm based in Pittsburgh.
My name is Alonzo Spencer. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 1928. My family moved to East Liverpool before I was a year old, so in reality, I've been in East Liverpool all of my life. During my youth, it was a hub for people acquiring good pottery. But when the pottery industry started going down as a result of foreign imports, most of the employees left town to find employment. The councilwoman called me one night and said, Alonzo, they're bringing in this waste-to-energy facility, and I don't think that it's going to be good for our community. And that's how I got involved. Ironically, when I first looked into it, I was in favor of it. They said it would create all these jobs, it would attract industry. Now, who can be against that? But once you look into it, then you find out that was not true. Well, Save Our County is an organization that was formed after a small group of people took the position that this facility was not beneficial to the community. And they didn't take that position lightheartedly. We were trying to make sure that the citizens living in this tri-state area, that their health and safety was going to be protected.
Despite his efforts, the Heritage Thermal Plant continues to burn hazardous waste and continues to pollute the environment and harm everyone around it.